conductor of the body's electromagnetic energy. That's because of something called induction. Induction causes any conductor of electromagnetic energy to induce a current in adjacent conductors. This means that when you coil a conductor, the signal becomes much stronger. I'm just gonna let you sit with that for a second. So, this video is about hair and spirituality in general. I want you to watch this whole video because it's very interesting. So that, a bit of information I just found on the internet. I'm gonna link the article where I found that below. It's pretty interesting, but you know, fact check, double check everything. You wanna go and find science articles to back that information up, because I'm not a scientist, but I mean, that makes sense though. You know what I mean? For my little high school, high science education / college. Anyway, I want to talk about how spirituality and hair intertwine. And what I found in my research is that like most of the information is consistent throughout all religions and all spirituality practices. Here we go. Okay, so basically hair symbolizes physical strength and vitality and cultural identities. So an example of this is braided hair for Native Americans usually signifies unity with the infinite. So they would braid their hair, I think they would braid their hair at night or during different cultural rituals. There we go, rituals to signify our unity with the infinite. But yeah, it also signifies their cultural pride and their connection to nature. So like different tribes might wear their hair in different ways to signify, oh, I'm from this place, and you have pride in that, and you have pride in who you are. And you know, think about like you spend your whole life growing your hair. So if your hair is down to your butt, like it kind of signifies your age, your rank, age and rank that goes into the African culture. Obviously, African hair is, you know, Africans of all different cultures took a lot of pride in their hair and how they styled it. It would signify what tribe you came from. It would signify where you are in life, whether you're married, single, young, old, whether you're a chief. So in African cultures, definitely hair was very, very important. African hair is probably the most interesting. I'm not biased. I'm just saying. I'd learned a lot. So when warriors would go off to war, they would often cut their hair and then leave their hair at home. My assumption is that, you know, because they also believe that your hair holds power, and if you give your hair to the wrong person, you know, you might be in danger. So my interpretation of that is probably that they would leave it with a loved one, someone that they trusted, and maybe they would protect them while the person was at war doing some kind of hair work. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. If you were a chief, you might cover your hair to signify you have some kind of power, like wear a crown or something over your head to signify importance. And then also certain cultures would color their hair, and this is we're just still talking about African hair, okay? Some cultures would color their hair in order to either protect it or just style it in a different way to make it look cute. You know, the Maasai would often have that red clay in their hair. It helps it grow. It also helps protect it, but it also is just, I think, a part of their style and culture. Also, this is interesting. I found this out. Apparently, we was using weaves back in the day. Okay, so we think that's something that was brought to us and that we did because of European standards. And it has been, I think, modified to fit European standards. But back in the dizzy day, we used to take extensions of hair using human hair and also vegetable fiber to create strands of hair that we would put in our own hair to either elongate it or just put it into styles that weren't possible using your natural hair. So like if you're wearing it up in a crazy like fancy style, you would use that in order to achieve that style, which is what we do today. Like, you know, when you trying to make a bun but you don't got enough hair, so you go get the little bun from the beauty supply store. We used to do that in middle school, and then put the little or like you use a sock, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. But the fact that we've been doing that forever is like really interesting to me, because you think that's something that we do just to fit in. But really, like, we've been fly. We've been fly this whole time. Like, we've really been fly the whole time. So another example is they would take, some people would take, like, men would take their wives' hair, like locks, and weave it into their own hair in order to have long hair. And I think that is so sweet. Like, I just really think that's really sweet. Like, I don't know what that signifies. I want to look more into that, but I think that's so cute. Oh, that's just African hair. I just had to touch on that because I feel like with the first quote I gave you, think about the coils and how, you know, when a conductor is coiled, the signal is stronger. And like, obviously African people and people of African descent have that coily hair. And so when you think about what that means spiritually and what that means physically, look, we powerful, bro. Like, yeah, we powerful. Okay, anyway, so look. So that, and then, you know, this is all this time we've been made to cover it up or cut it or whatever. And it's just like, just think about it. Just think about it. Anyway, you can probably assume that their hair choices were also rooted in spirituality, as everything they did was rooted in spirituality. I'm gonna go into other spiritualities now, but top knots. And this is something that Africans also did, and many other cultures will have a top knot because it receives sun energy. And this is something that the Taoist, Taoism, Taoist, I don't know if it's D or T, I think you can interchange them, but they do top knots and they believe that it conducts energy. Something about your crown chakra and how it holds the energy that would usually be emitted through your head. It holds it there. Yeah, hair is an extension of your nervous system. So this is what Taoists believe. Yeah, it's an extension of your nervous system and it receives sun energy and transmits information into your pineal gland. So that's another reason they would do a top knot, is like, when you think about, like I said earlier, the coil being stronger than just straight hair or than just straight conductors or whatever. If you, coil it and put it on top of your hair, it's probably a stronger, easier to pull that energy down. So, but yeah, that's Taoism. And then Rastafarianism also believes the same thing with the top knot. They will grow, obviously we all know Rastafarians, they, grow locks out, which they reintroduced to society because of what African people did, and they are descendants of Africans, so they wanted to reconnect with their cultural roots, so they would grow their hair out. So they grow their hair out, but they also believe that when they tie it up in a knot, that prevents energy from escaping the top of your head, which aids the strength of your body, mind, and your spirit. So it's interesting that Taoists and Rastafarians also believe that, as well as, Buddha? So, Buddhists typically shave their hair. We'll get to that later. But the Buddha image that you see usually has like coils all around its head, and it has like one knot right here. That knot is made to signify expanded wisdom, and it's called a Ushnisha. So it's called a Ushnisha. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's just interesting that literally like so many cultures and spiritual practices have a top knot, or they understand like that something needs to be here in order to conduct that energy. Moving on to Buddhist monks. As you know, Buddhist monks typically cut their hair and, remain bald for most of their lives, as well as being celibate. They see hair as a signal of vanity. And this is nuns too. So that's why nuns cover their hair. And we'll talk about Islam also later. But they cut their hair because they see hair as vanity, and they, monks are very humble people. They don't kill anything, so they'll cut their hair off. Women also, men and women, will remain celibate, and in order to, let me see what I said here. So they cut their hair to symbolize humility and celibacy, and in order to reach enlightenment. Nuns do the same thing. I didn't write that down, but nuns also do that as well for the same reasons, celibacy, humility, all that. In Islam, they also shave their hair when they have come back from their Hajj, which is their pilgrimage to Mecca that most Muslims take, well, that you're supposed to take in your lifetime, is go to Mecca, have that spiritual enlightenment moment, and then when you come back, you're traditionally supposed to shave your hair. Also, obviously, a lot of Islamic people or Muslim people cover their hair as a sign of modesty as well. Women, Muslim women. Actually, men might do it too in certain circumstances. I'm not sure. I didn't research on that. And my best friend is Muslim. I should know this, but God, I messed up. She doesn't wear a hijab though, and so I don't know much about that. But anyway, basically, shaved head, covering your hair has to do with modesty, humility, and just being humble. Depending on who you are, you might choose humility, celibacy, you cut your hair off, or you might choose to grow your hair and to stand in your power. Either way, I think it's interesting to look at the spiritual meanings behind these decisions. Like oftentimes we just do things because it's cute, but also you might do things, you might cut your hair and you realize like that was actually at a time where I was mourning, or that was actually at a time where I was changing who I was and starting over. Or you might grow your hair out for no real reason, but then you realize like, oh, I actually did grow my hair out when I was in a place where I was trying to stay strong, and I was in a good place and I was wanting to grow and become more powerful. So I think it's interesting to look at these things because I think innately we know what we're doing, even if no one told us that this is what this means spiritually. So, when I locked my hair, I had been thinking about it for a while, but it's just interesting seeing where I am in life and knowing that I know that my decision was based in a place of me standing in where I am and wanting to grow instead of run away, which is what I usually do. But finally taking a stance and being like, no, I'm going to grow and I'm going to go forward. I'm going to push through with everything that I do, with my work, my business, everything. Like, I'm finally in that place in life, and I see how this is before I did the research, but I do see how that influences the way I style my hair. I'm gonna leave y'all with this little, I got notes, I feel professional. There have been studies done to say that people with long hair are much less tired. People who, think about this, okay? People who cut their hair grow 22 meters of replacement hair in their lifetime. 22 meters of hair they grow in their lifetime, right? 22 meters. People who keep their hair and grow it out produce 1.5 meters of hair in their lifetime if they don't cut it at all. Isn't that crazy when you think of it? Because I think about how much energy you're putting into hair when you have to produce 22 meters versus 1 meter. So when you think about the preservation of your energy, like if you're constantly doing something where your body has to work harder, obviously you're gonna, emit more energy towards that, and you might be more sluggish or you might be more tired. And granted, like 1 in 20, like that's a lot, but it's over a lifetime, so it's like, okay, it's not too bad, but still, like, everything counts for something. So it's just interesting to see the correlations between like science, spirituality, and knowing like, monks cut their hair off, but they also remain celibate. So you might be using more energy by cutting your hair off, but also you're not using that huge amount of energy that most people use for sex. Sexual energy is a very large, vast amount of energy that most people waste. I mean, yeah, most people probably do waste it. But, so if you're celibate, but you cut your hair off, it probably evens out. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. This is just me speculating, but like, think about like, if you're a monk, if you shave your hair off, you probably would be celibate. Whereas if you're, grow your hair out and you're not celibate, it's kind of okay. But also think about if you were to grow your hair out and remain celibate, think about how much power you would have if you did both at the same time. So these are just things you should think about, you know what I mean? Like, I find this super interesting. So I wanted to do a video on a vast number of spiritual practices where they focus on their hair and their hairstyles. And I just barely touched the surface. I'm sorry, I'm hot. I just barely touched the surface, but I would encourage you to do your own research and look into this because it's very interesting. And I'm nowhere near done researching this, but I just wanted to share what information I got so far. And yeah, hope you enjoyed that video. Peace. All right, love you guys. Bye. Oh, And make sure you like and subscribe. Like, I see you hovering over that like button. Did you know that it's free? You don't want to miss this growth? Look, y'all, like, okay? You don't want to miss this. Like, this was not touching my neck when I first got it done. When I first got my locks in, it was not. Your girl out here flourishing, so you don't want to miss that. Click that button, girl. Click the, that's right. There you go.